Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the aftermath of one of Celtic's biggest European games in recent memory. Of course, we're talking about that game against Bayern Munich last night, where sadly Celtic weren't on the right end of the result we would have liked. However, a very encouraging performance in my opinion, a performance which has certainly got people talking online. I was shocked to wake up this morning and see so much discourse surrounding Celtic's game and their performance, and specifically certain individuals. It seems like a game where I thought we'd all be on the same page and quite happy about how we played has turned into one which has a lot of divide. So I'm here to look at your opinions today. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We are trying to get to 50,000 subscribers before the end of the season. We are now under 1,500 away from hitting that huge landmark of the channel. So get down below, hit those buttons. It's absolutely free. Today's video is more about your voice than mine, which I'm sure for all of you is great news and a rare change. Before I get into your opinions, very quickly, if you haven't seen my post-match reaction video from last night, it is live on the channel. It went up pretty late, and in that video I dig far deeper into my own opinions of the game, my opinions of individual performances, and generally how I felt about last night's game, which was pretty positive, to be honest, and still is pretty positive. I think that it's one of those games I left feeling proud after seeing how we played against Bayern Munich. And I know at the end of the day, listen, I don't like losing. I don't care if we're losing to Bayern Munich or Bayern Juniors. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Losing isn't nice. But sometimes you've got to manage the expectation, and sometimes you've got to look at each game differently. And against Bayern Munich, you're going to be the team with less possession. You're going to be the team with less chances. And ultimately, you are going to be massive underdogs. And you've got to remember that going into games like this. You know, you can't go into it thinking that Celtic are going to leave with the win, because realistically, it's just pretty tough. I think we gave ourselves a fantastic account of our side, of their football, and yeah, as I said, leaving the stadium feeling very much still in this tie. Bayern Munich weren't great last night, and if they played to that same standard that I think they brought to Celtic Park, I think that Celtic have every chance of winning the game next week, to be quite honest. But once again, I managed the expectation. I'm not saying that Celtic are going to go to Munich and win that game, and that the chances or the odds of the game are still in our favour, but there's certainly hope there. And without hope, what's the point? And that's what brings me on to today's video. Because last night, the reaction to this game seemed to go one of two ways. I think the majority of folk, like myself, are in the state of mind where we are proud and happy of the performance, all things considered. Maybe a bit disappointed that we didn't get more from the game. But there's that other side of the divide that are really angry and annoyed and fuming that Celtic lost the game last night and saying that the performance wasn't good enough. And I'm stunned at the amount of fans that seem to be there peddling that narrative. So that's why I wanted to do this video today, because everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I, by no means, am not a Celtic gospel. Whatever I say means nothing. And that's fair. You don't need to agree with everything I say. But I think there's some people who have taken it a little bit too far. I'm happy about last night. I think the majority of us, if not all of us, should be happy about last night. But I do want to explore different opinions, whether they are ones that I agree with or disagree with. So we're going to do exactly that. One of the massive talking points was Arne Engels, for example, last night, who came out of that game in the eyes of some as Celtic's best player, or the eyes of others, one of Celtic's worst players. There seems to be no line of agreement when it comes to a guy like Arne Engels, and he wasn't the only one. People debating the captain's performance, Callum McGregor, people debating Greg Taylor's performance. I think everybody's performance was up for debate in the social space last night, and I'm sure you've seen most of that opinion. So yeah, I want to talk about all of it. We're going to try that, and I want to use your points as the catalyst of the conversation. I put this tweet up this morning saying that I was genuinely surprised with a lot of the opinions flying around on social media last night and this morning. I thought it was a decent result to take to Munich. So on that note, I was looking for thoughts or questions to use in this video, to give my thoughts on, and to see what you guys are thinking. So I've not looked at any of them yet. We have 34 replies as things currently stand, and then some more on the YouTube community post. I'm quite nervous to do this, to be honest, but let's try. Cal starts us off saying, regardless of whatever the tie ends, it's clear to see that we've learned a lot this season, especially after Dortmund. Bayern was always a step too far, but with the additions of Kieran Tierney, perhaps another striker, we can play at this level. There's no reason to suggest we can't do it in the future. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that Cal is spot on the money. And I don't see why people are getting so down and out about things when they consider we are a bit shortchanged at the minute. In terms of squad depth, we're not the finished article. And we are still learning. We're a team in transition. Brendan Rodgers signed up for a 3-year project. Hopefully he's here for longer than that. But we're in year 2 of the project. And there has been significant improvement from year 1. That's not opinion, that's fact. Significant improvement. I've seen somebody raising the point that, oh, but we beat Bayern Munich 2-1 in 2017, so we've not improved that much. Come on now. Don't act thick as mince. It's 2 completely different teams, and it's just completely unrelatable, I think, to compare that game against Bayern over 5 years ago. Sorry, not even... Christ, that was 8 years ago. Oh my God. There's no point comparing a game against Bayern Munich that happened 8 years ago and a game that happened against Bayern Munich in 2025. That's just nonsense. We have seen clear improvement. Dortmund scalped us 7-1. Bayern are worlds better than Dortmund, and I mean worlds, to the point where Dortmund are 11th in the table and Bayern are 8 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. So there has been improvement. I think it's exciting to think of year 3 of this project that Rodgers is going into. If he's backed properly, we've learned enough. I think we've seen enough to be optimistic about. Craig from Seltzer here said, it was a really top Bayern side that we played. We were unlucky not to take the lead. We did well to contain them. Their quality shone through in their opener, and we gave them a right scare towards the end. I didn't leave Celtic Park downbeat. We showed growth this year. Once again, just really drilling through that point about growth in the side and seeing evidence of improvement. I think that's the biggest takeaway you've got to take from this tie, whether it ends in win, lose or draw. I think that you've got to remember the improvement that we've gone through and the growth that we've went through as a unit. And I don't want to just bring up opinions that are ones that I agree with in this video, but I think it's hard to look past everything Craig has said here. You know, we were unlucky last night, and towards the end of the game, we were the better side. On another night, Celtic won that game. I think we're really unlucky with the first goal being disallowed. We're unlucky that the penalty's not given. And just a couple of stupid moments gave up goals. But in rebuttal to that, there was chances that we had that, I swear to God, in other nights we score. So, I know it's all if, buts and maybes. But to leave the stadium feeling as optimistic about next week as I was really all the evidence I needed to suggest that Celtic were more than good enough last night. And I like the comfort that I'm seeing in the replies of my tweet to see that there is just more people happy about it. And listen, that is the case. There is far more people happy than upset about last night's game, as they should be. Because if you left that game upset, annoyed, aggrieved that Celtic didn't win the game, you need to ease your expectations. I know you like to see your team win, but don't be so bloody miserable. Celtic were great last night, as views from 443 says that imagine we had a full window where we did get our work done, could have gave us a better chance, and once again that's an if but and a maybe, but it's true. I think there's areas that we could have certainly been strengthened in, and we just didn't have it there. People talking about how the performance was very, very good. Some fans just expect too much. And generally a nice kind of summary of things here from Weiger Toots, who says, you know, 1 goal in it. No away goal rule. Went toe-to-toe with them. Nothing to lose next week. We are still in this tie. Craig summing it up nicely, saying, look, next week they need to go for it. They need to score goals. They can't just sit back and defend. They have every reason to play football, which is a dangerous proposition, of course. But it allows Celtic the chance to attack the game in the same ways they had to attack the game last night, by taking their very few chances. And if we can defend well enough, and if Schmeichel can do his job between the sticks, I think you're looking at Celtic having a very decent chance of an upset next week. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. And listen, if we lose 4 or 5-0, I wouldn't be shocked. But what I am saying is Celtic have given themselves that opportunity, so we deserve to be able to talk about that. Which is why I want to bring up this one here, which is, I've just caught my eye. And this is the kind of comment that really does frustrate me, really does annoy me. We are taking nothing to Munich. These soft opinions coming from people like yourself, me, Ryan Mominate, is because you're on social media to make money. Talking about Celtic is a job to you, a different breed. I may be fortunate enough to make talking about Celtic my job on YouTube. Right? It is undeniably my job. It's my main source of income. No part of what I seen last night was an opinion because it's my job. I have came on this channel a number of times, been brutally honest, and spoke about Celtic's chances in European competition, or any competition. In fact, when we drew Bayern Munich, only a couple of weeks ago, I came on this channel and said, well, we're out. I was brutally honest about it. I didn't see us standing a chance. But I watched Celtic last night, I judged Celtic last night, and I left feeling optimistic because the side made me feel optimistic. Not because it's my job to come on YouTube and stir up false hope. And in fact, Mr. Adela, whatever the username is, I would go to say that you're just being miserable. Absolutely miserable. Listen, the reality of the matter is Munich next week is a near improbable task for Celtic, right? It's not impossible, it's certainly improbable. But to go over and say we're taking nothing there is nonsense. We're taking a lot there. We're taking an inspiring performance, and we're taking a result that doesn't leave us down and out. So it's not an opinion that we're taking something to Munich. It's fact that we're taking something to Munich. Celtic played well enough to take something to Munich last night. And that should be remembered in all of this. That's what I'll say to that. Stop being so miserable. Let fans enjoy it. And if you find yourself on the minority, there's a reason you find yourself in the minority. That's not me saying your opinions are wrong. But when you just go out your way to be downbeat and miserable, then you deserve to be told that. Now, one of the big talking points that's came from last night's game, which I need to cover in this video, is about the midfield three, especially Arne, Engels and Callum McGregor. For example, we have Matthew saying that Callum McGregor gets way too much stick on social media following games like this, and King Henrik was asking for my thoughts on Engels' performance. He, like many others, believes that he is a player. And I would agree, he is a player. But it's one of the heavy talking points that we need to talk about from last night's game, because it's so extreme on either side of that divide, whether you think he's good or whether you don't think he's good. I'm talking about Engels specifically here. We'll come to McGregor in a moment. Arne Engels is undoubtedly a fantastic football player, but the problem that it seems Celtic fans have got themselves into in social media is people are either desperate for him to fail or desperate for him to succeed. It's a very kind of weird place that Arne Engels has found himself in, perhaps one of the most unique I've ever seen from a social media point of view. Now, I've been very open about how much I hate social media and how much I hate the reactions on there, so I don't know why I let it bother me so much, but here we are talking about it. Stop it. Stop being extreme to either side. What we should be able to agree on is that he's a great player with potential to be even better. Right? Potential to be even better. I left the game last night. My first thing that I said walking out was I thought he was actually the weakest of the midfield three, but that wasn't because he was bad. I then went back, watched the highlights, and watching it from the TV perspective was certainly different. I didn't think he was the weakest of the midfield three, but he annoyed me with a couple of the wee things he'd done in the game. He was going for these kind of backheel passes and wee kind of flashy things. It's not really the time to do that, and that's maybe what left me coming out the stadium going, he was the weakest of the three. But that wasn't because he was bad. But what has happened is we've got two kind of tribes on social media now. One that are spearheading the chase for him to be the best player and building the team around him, and the other one's desperate to see him fail so that they can say they were right and see him drop from the team. Stop it. On both sides. Let the boy flourish. Let the boy do his job. He is a great player, and I have no doubts in my mind he will be a huge export for Celtic when the time comes, and I have no doubts that even at his time at Celtic he'll be one of our best players, because he's a magnificent player. If you don't say that he's a magnificent player, I don't think you quite get ball. But stop with the being desperate to make him the top man, and stop with making him desperate to see him fail. Because that's what's kind of egging each side on. And we're all Celtic supporters, right? Not to sound like a hippie or something, right? But we're all Celtic supporters. Let's just get along. Let's just enjoy the team rather than creating these needless debates. And I'm pretty sure that Arne Engels will not be looking at this from the outside. It's something that I don't think affects his game, and I don't think Celtic would let that affect his game or himself. But it can be a nice situation to be in if he can see that from the outside. So just, let him flourish. I thought he was good last night. I thought he was solid, and I look forward to seeing where his game goes, because I'm a huge fan of his. As for Callum McGregor, I don't get the criticism he was under last night. I thought McGregor was really good, and people will go, you're off your nut or whatever. I don't see it. I don't know if there's been a narrative created somewhere along the line that McGregor's starting to become a weakness in the Celtic team, and once again people are desperate for that to take off. I didn't look at McGregor once last night and go, oh, he's costing us. I thought it was good. I thought his link between the back line and the midfield and getting the ball up the park was really important for us. So I don't understand why people think McGregor was so bad last night. Maybe I'm just missed something. Maybe I'm blinded by how much I love McGregor. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm innocent in all of this. But I just genuinely didn't see it. I thought he had a good game. So I can't agree with that, I'm afraid. This is the kind of opinion which is totally okay, totally fine, and it doesn't come across as miserable. And I'm not saying that some opinions aren't okay and aren't fine, you're entitled to it, but there's ways to come across a lot less fucking miserable than some of the things I've read over the past 24 hours. Barry, for example, saying he came out of the game feeling hard done by, which is totally fair. I think that if you felt slightly deflated because you thought Celtic deserved more in the game, that is so understandable, and to be honest, I can side with some of that. I felt a bit deflated knowing that if that goal counted at the start, or if we just defended a bit better, if we marked Harry Kane, whatever, we could have left with something more. I completely agree with Barry in that regard. But that's the way to go about it. Rather than coming off and going on social media going, we're shite, we're useless, can't believe we got beat, can't believe the best team in one of the best teams in Europe and fucking 5-time Champions League winners and 40-time Bundesliga winners, Bayern Munich have beat us. There's a way to go about it, and I think this is the perfect way to go about it. You know, we played well, done brilliantly by not folding to go after going 2-0 down. Just wish we were a bit more aggressive early in the game. Barry, honestly, hats off to you. Brilliant way to go about it. You've done it without sounding very, very over the top and reactionary. I feel hard done by as well. I do. I'm delighted, I'm proud, but I do feel there's a part of me that goes, we could have got more last night. I think this is a great comment to sort of leave off this section of the video. You know, objectively, it's a great result. We wanted the tie to be alive going to Munich, and it is. And I think that if you had your expectations set to a level where Celtic should have been winning last night, and you've left feeling disappointed, I'm sorry, but that's on you. If you're one of those people that feel like Celtic must win every game and it's a disaster when we lose, domestically, that's the case. But in Europe, and I don't want to burst your bubble, that is not the case. Celtic are a team who shouldn't be expected to beat Bayern Munich, to beat Real Madrid, to beat Barcelona, to beat Manchester City, to beat the European heavyweights. They shouldn't be expected to. The bookies have them as underdogs. The journalists have them as underdogs. The fans have them as underdogs for a reason. And it's not to sound like a loser. And I know some people will go, well, that's just a losing attitude. It's not a losing attitude. It's called being objective. It's called being realistic. There's ways to look at the losses and judge them. If Celtic went out and lost 5 or 6-0 last night at Celtic Park, of course that would be totally unacceptable. But that's the way some people are acting. That we lost 5 or 6-0 last night. We didn't. We lost 2-1 in a game where we could have won. And we should be proud that the team played so well, fought back from 2-0 down and gave themselves a fighting chance. So be objective. Be realistic. And if you're the ones down and out about things, I'm sorry, but that is on yourselves. And I think Mordecai sums it up brilliantly in saying, you look, 10 times more miserable online, some people are, than in real life. That is the norm. Social media, it's a reality warp. And I think we've come to learn that, especially over the last couple of years at Celtic Football Club. I had to get this one in very quickly at the end, of course. We're all in agreement, aren't we? 100%. Get it built. So that's just some of the opinions that have been underneath my posts on YouTube and Twitter. Of course, far more opinion out there, plenty more blogs and YouTube videos and podcasts you can go and watch to see plenty of opinions. I think the one that most folks seem unanimous on is the criticism of Greg Taylor after last night, but outside of that, seems to be such a big divide on everybody and everything to do with last night's game. So I'm sure the discourse about it will go on through the week up until this second leg is done. And what kind of frustrates me the most is, for the people who are already admitting the defeat and already saying that Celtic go over to Munich with nothing and that last night has been rendered pointless. When Celtic probably lose next week, right? Not to sound defeatist, but when Bayern probably get the job done, they're going to act so vindicated in everything that they've said. And that annoys me, because there shouldn't be a sort of vindication in it all. You should be optimistic. You should be backing the team. And I'm delighted after last night. So even though I go on my flight to Munich on Sunday in the understanding that we probably won't pull off the miracle, there's still that part of me that saw something last night that makes me go, no, hold on a minute. We could. We can. Might not be very realistic, but it's the hope that kills you. So just be cheery. Just be happy. Be proud of Celtic last night because we're taking huge steps forward. So that's it for the end of this video. I went on much longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to wrap things up. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about the game last night in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.